Now we come to a very important component of hitting. Most people call it the stride, the step. As we go into this, we'll maybe talk about some other words you might could use. But this is basically a transition from position 1 to position 2, or an adjustment period if you want to think about it. Now Kelly's going to walk in here and show us her stance. We talked about that a while ago with Ashley. That's position 1. Her stance is slightly different than Ashley's. It's in a little bit of a different location than Ashley's. That's okay. She may live in Chicago. She's all trying to get to Disney World. All of them are. They're trying to get to this point right out here, wherever that ball's going to end up. They're trying to get there with control and explosion at the right spot at the right time. Now, Kelly's in her stance. Are you comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way you like to stand, right?
Right.
That's fine. So she stands that way. Do you hit from right there?
No.
No. What do you do before you hit?
I take a step and stride.
All right, she takes a little bitty step and it takes her to a different position, all right? Show me where you go to. Now, she goes just a short distance. Maybe she lives in Ocala, so she gets to Disney World pretty easy. But she doesn't have to, remember. She could live in Seattle and take a long step, but it's probably harder for you if you take a long step, right? She likes a short step. Again, you don't have to. It's her period of adjustment. It's her transition from her stance, her starting position, to the next position that we call the attack position or the hitting position or the launch position. Now, why do you start one way and then end up in a different place? Why do you do that?
It gives me more momentum, more power, kind of puts me in a rhythm.
Okay, you could start right there, right?
You could.
But that doesn't work as well for you as moving to that place.
Right.
Okay, she could live at Disney World, but she doesn't want to live with Mickey Mouse and Alice in Wonderland, okay? She lives a little bit away and she travels there. But it's not a difficult journey. Now, for young ladies, sometimes I explain it in a way, go back to your stance. That's where Kelly lives, okay? Now take your little step, that's where Kelly's boyfriend lives, okay? If she can live pretty close to her boyfriend, that's a lot more convenient than if she lives a long way away from her boyfriend. So she takes a stance, but she takes a short trip to her boyfriend's house, basically, okay? So the reason a lot of people take this step or this stride is it gives them a feeling of rhythm, of timing, of movement. It helps them overcome inertia. A body at rest tends to remain at rest. A body in motion tends to remain in motion. And hitting is actually a very physical, active, explosive motion. So she likes to get in motion, okay? And that's one of the reasons she does this. Now, Kelly, you're also a pitcher, right?
Yes.
All right. Do you pitch from the same position you stand in, or do you move before you pitch?
No, well, I start in the beginning, but then just like hitting, I move forward to give me more momentum.
Okay.
Than what we were talking
So
about.
it's a lot like pitching in it.
Yes.
You don't pitch from a dead start and you don't hit from a dead start. Now, could you start out in your hitting position? Go ahead and show us. Yes. There's some very good hitters that start there and basically pick their foot up and put it back down or tap their foot or whatever. That's okay for them. You know, there could be Aaron or Ashley or Kay or somebody may not take this step, okay? That's fine. Hitting is not the same for everybody. Remember, there's not right, wrong, there's easy or harder. Kelly likes to take the step. She likes to take the stride, and that helps her to have rhythm and power and momentum and control and timing and fluidness and flow, whatever all those magic words that Webster writes about somewhere, okay? That works for her. She's getting to her attack position. Now, how do we do this? When do we do this? How do we do this? And all that kind of stuff. The why we've talked about. When do you do it? Now, in slow pitch softball, you can wait longer because it takes longer for the ball to get to you. In fast pitch softball, the ball is going to get there in somewhere from about a third to a half of a second, depending on which pitch it is and the level that you play at. Most people have discovered that you need to take this little step that you take about the time the pitcher's releasing the ball. You've got to get to that hitting position about the time the pitcher's releasing the ball. That gives you time to do all of the collecting of information, the decision making, the analysis, the action, and all of that kind of stuff. So you take this stride about the time the pitcher's releasing the ball. Now, Kelly, when do you actually swing the bat? Before you step, while you're stepping, or after the foot's already landed?
After the foot's already landed.
After the foot's already landed. And some people will say that you actually swing the bat while you're stepping. But if you did that, you'd have one foot in the air. You'd be hitting off one foot, and that's pretty difficult to do. So what's important in hitting, the key body position is after the step, after the stride. The stance, yes, it's important. Yes, it's helpful. But there's a period of adjustment in here. For instance, you could start, if you wanted to, the way Kelly did, the other Kelly did a while ago, with her foot way over here in an open stance. Step into here. You don't have to start in the same place. It's a matter of where do you get to and when do you get there. You've got to get to the right place at the right time so that you have control and explosion. So Kelly has decided that the right place for her, show us the right place for your foot in your hitting position, is right there. Now if you'll notice, her feet are spread, and they're a little more spread than they were in the stance. They're a little more spread. This is what we call a very good athletic position. You can play basketball defense from here. You can receive a serve in tennis. You could be a linebacker in football. You could be a cheerleader in a pyramid. It's a good athletic position. Feet spread, knees slightly bent so that you've got control of your body. If you'll notice, her feet are basically in line with each other. They're pretty much on this straight line. Sometimes people take a step or a stride and they end up with the front foot closer. That's okay in the stance, but in the stride that really creates a problem. As we later get into hip rotation, you've basically blocked off the front side. You've also helped the visual part to not be as efficient. You've kind of blocked off where you can't rotate the hips well or maybe not even see the ball as well. If you, in the other way, step with the front foot too far away from the plate, again, it's okay to start that way in the stance, but now you're ready to hit the ball. And if Kelly ends up like this, she's opened up her hips where she doesn't get good hip rotation, and she's pulled her eyes and head off of the ball. If you start back with those feet in line, just a minute, Kelly. Now, if we take that foot and move it back away, you'll notice her shoulders and her head and her eyes and everything went that way. So we want to end up with those feet basically in line, and we'd like the toes to be pointed toward home plate. What a lot of hitters will do is take this front foot, and when they step with it, they open it up. So step toward me a minute, Kelly, and that foot opened up. It's angled basically over here instead of being pointed straight. That also prematurely opens up the hips, and it pulls her shoulder and her head, which contain Ernie's eyes, remember, away from home plate. So she's pulling away from the plate, trying to hit a ball forcefully that's at the plate. So you've got to be very careful about the body position, particularly the feet, when they land after this step. You want the feet to be spread, pointed toward home plate, closed, and you want them in line with each other. Those are the three things you're going to be looking for in the feet. Make sure as you take this step that you get the feet in the right position. What we're looking for here is position and condition.